hang with me while we try this makeshift situation out here, because, you know, clearly I'm not in my normal studio. You know, stupid stuff. God damn it. That's stupid stuff. I'm just lazy. Give me a second here, guys. I didn't think this out fully. Thought I was going to be able to go landscape mode, but it only wants me to do this in portrait. Hey. Alright, well, it's a little high. It's a little high. A little high. A little high! It's a little high. I don't like it that high. How about that? Oh, yeah, it's disorienting as shit. Oh, come on. You little bastard. What do I got? I gotta have something around here. Ow. Gotta have something here I can finagle. All these stupid drill bits back up here. They're in the way. How's everybody doing tonight? The 0 of you that are in here. Well, that's okay. This is more so for y'all to watch afterwards, right? I'm not really too big into the live streaming thing, though it is something we do kind of want to try out more regularly. Maybe doing some live streams, interacting with people a little bit more. But we're gonna be talking Lions preseason here, and it's gonna be pretty awesome. So, you know, that's fun stuff. That's show every message. All right, well, hello, whoever's here. I'm just trying to see if I can set up so I can read the chat or whatever. I'm not used to doing this, so y'all just got to bear with me for a little bit here. Oh, whoo-hoo. Thought we lost you for a minute there, bud. Thought these stupid big guns, man. They're okay. There we go. Nope, get out of here. Live chat on, participant anyone, message delay none. Alright, cool. So it should be up and rolling, I guess. I don't know, man. I have no idea how this works. It's a learning process. It's a learning process, and I'm kind of stupid. I'm kind of a gotard. You know what I'm saying? Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Know what I mean when I say that? Yeah. It means I'm special. But not special enough. God damn it. I don't want to do it on an angle. The problem is I only got like a cord like this long and I'm trying to stay plugged in. You'd think with all this junk laying around. Is that gonna hold? Alright, there we go. Now we got a little block, little support. Thanks to the old rigid battery. Hell yeah, rigid battery for the win. Let's go rigid battery. I'm not a rigid guy. It's just what they give us to work with. I'm a Milwaukee guy. What can I say? Milwaukee shit is awesome. I've been a Milwaukee fan since like they introduced the heated coats. And then I just started buying Milwaukee shit left and right. Alright. Now that we farted around good enough, let's get this all situated. I guess I could tell y'all like there's no particular reason why I haven't uploaded. The summer was kind of dead, right? The summer was kind of dead. There's not a lot to talk about. And well, I just got busy. Like there's not a lot to talk about, and then I started doing a bunch of shit around the house, and you know, I'm getting older, so it's like, I don't know, man, time just accelerates, and when it all boils down at the end of the day, I don't have enough time to like do everything that I need to do. So the studio upgrade is probably, I'd say, about 80% done. I got all the wall insulation. I got all the walls lined, so I won't be freezing so hard out there. I got it cleaned out. I did buy a new desk, so we're gonna have a little bit new of a setup, a little bit new style. I just need to have the time to get it done, and especially with work right now, there's just a bunch of BS going on, and then we're shorthanded because my coworker on second shift, he's been off for a little bit for some personal stuff, so we're just I'm working goofy fucking schedules again, and it's just like, I'm trying to figure out exactly how I want to do it. Do I want to like wake up and like live stream in the morning and then like chop that up into smaller digestible segments to like schedule out for the whole day? Or do I want to like kind of do what I had been doing, where it was like one big video once a week, maybe twice a week? But I don't want to be making videos when I get home from work, because it's like too late in the night, and I'm trying to go to bed a little bit earlier so that I can get up a little bit earlier, because I've been trying to like take care of my body and all that stuff. So Well, we did get a couple more viewers, but now we're back down to one. So we're going to hang out just a little bit longer. Appreciate whoever it is. Make sure to hit like and subscribe if you're not already. Welcome to live chat. Remember privacy and abide by community guidelines. Okay, cool. We're just gonna hang out for a few more minutes, and then we're gonna talk about. I got a few things written down here that I want to talk about tonight's game, because tonight is preseason week 1. Detroit Lions and the New York Giants. We've had joint practices all week. Both teams have actually been fined from the NFL for the amount of fights breaking out in the joint practices and stuff. There was a big highlight that came out of Malik Neighbors trying to F around and find out with Kirby Joseph, and he effed around and he found out Kirby Joseph he tagged him up pretty good, man. It was pretty impressive. And then of course the whole 3-1-3 turned out and just mauled Malik Neighbors. So there's a little bit of tension brewing, but don't expect to see any of the starters. This is week 1 of the preseason. This is where we see, a lot of the guys that the diehard fans get all hype and, the Tom Kennedys of the world, right? People that we all like get super hype over, but in reality is probably never going to see the field unless something bad happens. But this is kind of the fun time where you get to see guys really go out and like kind of make an effort. You get the same vibe as kind of the UFL of dudes like really out there grinding, trying to like happen. I'm glad preseason is here. Yeah, I'm glad preseason is here too. Was using the UFL as kind of like a methadone treatment for my NFL addiction, and now we can finally get the good stuff and get going. So what should we really be looking for? We're not just individually, but on the grand scheme of things. I would expect tonight to see really, I would like to see the Hendon Hooker show, right? I'd like to see Hendon Hooker take the majority of the snaps, get the majority of the reps, because we already kind of know what Nate Sudfeld has in his repertoire, right? But Hendon Hooker missed his entire rookie season because of his destroyed knee that he suffered late in his collegiate career at Tennessee. And then, he was just kind of a clipboard warrior, missed all the training camp last year. So in reality, I mean, mathematically, this isn't his rookie season, right? But like on the way that it breaks down, this is kind of like his rookie season because this is his first entire off season to really learn the process. Thankfully, Ben Johnson returned, so that makes that transition just a little bit easier, just kind of sliding things in or a little bit. The lingo stays the same, the schemes stay the same. Things I've been reading, Hendon Hooker's mechanics have been changed a little bit to develop him up to that next level where he was more of a athletic, mobile quarterback in college. Now he has to rely, obviously, not just on his athleticism, but his cerebral ability to dissect a defense, know when, where, and how to get rid of the ball, that type of stuff. Read, pre-snap reads and those kinds of things. So I'd really like to see Hendon Hooker. I want to know where he's at, right? I'd like to know where he's at, because a couple years ago we were in damn near the same position where we rolled out there with Nate Sudfeld and David Blau, and it was terrible. I mean, we had to go and pull Teddy Bridgewater out of retirement, more or less, to come and fill in for us as the backup quarterback. Hopefully it never comes down to those guys being used. Hopefully the best offensive line in football can keep Jared Goff healthy. I mean, we invested a lot of money in both our offensive line and Jared Goff this offseason with Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker getting contract extensions, and then Jared Goff signing, a massive deal for where he was at in his career when he transitioned from LA to Detroit, where he was left for dead, more or less, right? But I'd like to kind of see, what can Hendon Hooker do in the event that he gets thrust into some game activity? And if he is complete trash, which we're hoping he's not, you guys know I'm kind of a big Hendon Hooker fan, we're hoping that he's not, what can Nate Sudfeld do? Does Nate Sudfeld have enough skills to justify taking a roster spot and being that number 2 quarterback behind Jared Goff, right? So I'd like to see Hendon Hooker, what his abilities are. I'm also looking at the depth at our offensive line, kind of how things shake out in the event, because we know that Frank Ragnow, although he is probably the best center in the game, he struggles with injuries. That's not a slight against him. That's just when you're that athletic of an individual, that type of a mauling offensive lineman, taking that many snaps and that physical, that violent of a position. Obviously, you're going to break down over your career, and he's not a spring chicken anymore, right? So you look at like Taylor Decker's going to, Frank Ragnow's probably going to justifiably miss 1 or 2 games throughout the season, right? Can Kevin Zeitler hold up throughout the whole season? How does Kobe Sorsdahl fit into that interior offensive line rotation, right? Is our swing tackles, how do those look? Is Christian Mahogany coming along well? What about Manu Ginobili, right? Manu Ginobili Giovanni Manu. Yeah. How's Manu Ginobili doing for the Detroit Lions? Yeah. Let's go get Manu Ginobili to play offensive tackle for the Detroit Lions. No, how's Giovanni Manu doing? Because what I'd love to see out of Manu is maybe a reduction in offensive line play, but maybe he fills in and takes that Dan Skipper role so that Dan Skipper kind of takes a step back and becomes more of a reserve offensive lineman, not necessarily that swing tackle, that big body, designating himself as a eligible receiver tackle because Manu is he's a fucking athlete from everything you see on the tape, but of course he's playing against inferior talent, right? But can he transition his game? Will he get significant reps? I'd like to see as I said, Christian Mahogany. I think Christian Mahogany is a potential starter in a year or two, right? Not even 3. In a year or 2, Christian Mahogany could be a big body interior offensive lineman for the Detroit Lions for many, many years to come. I feel like he had a great value pick way down in the 6th round, right? That was awesome. He's got a lot of talent. Can he put it all together? He's a nasty son of a bitch. Plays with just a chip shoulder. How does that offensive line play? The next thing I'm looking at offensively, I know this isn't really transitioning smoothly. There's no show map. I'm literally in my tool crib at work, just spewing straight facts. So if you like the facts, make sure you hit like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I appreciate the 4 of you hanging out. It is a pretty awesome night. It's preseason week 1, and we're super hype about it. So the next thing I want to look at outside of Hendon Hooker and interior offensive line play is what I would call a big question mark because of the position that we're playing and the durability of the players that we have on the roster right now. David Montgomery is pretty durable, though he has had injury issues in his past. What is the durability status of Jahmyr Gibbs? Do we see an uptick in his productivity throughout the season? With those two factors being laid out, who's going to be number 3? Probably the number 3 running back is going to go to Craig Reynolds, right? Craig Reynolds has been around for a while. We know what he has. So we're looking at who gets the majority of the reps outside of Craig Reynolds. So we're going to be looking at guys like Jamar Jefferson, a 6th-round pick out of Oregon State, back in 2021. He's seen like 7 games. He's seen a little bit of action throughout his career. Where does he kind of blend in? Dan Campbell said he's had a pretty good camp. Sione Vaki, Sione Vaki, the safety that we drafted out of Utah, transitioned into running back. Where does he fit in the offensive game plan? How much usage do we see him being used? But what kind of plays do we see? Schemes for him, specific plays drawn up, or are we just going to use him as an out-and-out running back? Just is he going to end up being able to usurp probably Jamar Jefferson? Probably slotted in that 4th spot already just because of his time in the organization. He's a little bit more seasoned than obviously Vaki or even Boom Knight, who is kind of a dark horse for that 4th spot. Zonovan Knight, Boom Knight, who, although productive in his preseason last year, ended up getting hurt, missing the whole season. So that was kind of a blow right there. So do we actually carry 4 running backs? I assume we will, just for the depth and the physicality of the position, plus the way that our offense is engineered. That could all go out the wind if JMO ends up doing JMO things, right? So if our offense is the way it was last year, where we're a little bit more physical, a little bit more downhill running, not really hitting the home run hits, we're going to need some viability and some durability in the backfield. However, if JMO ends up being that guy and taking the top off the defense, right, adding a whole nother dimension to our offense that we didn't necessarily really have, because although Josh Reynolds averaged like 20 yards a catch or some snap like that, he didn't have that breakaway speed, that just end line, top end Ferrari speed where he can just run away from everybody in the NFL. JMO brings that element to the offense. He's also had a phenomenal camp. Again, similar to Hendon Hooker, this is JMO's first complete camp that he's been able to have, because his rookie year, obviously, he missed significant playing time because of the injury he had his senior year at Alabama. And then last year, he missed the first 6 games of the year and training camp and preseason because of the suspension for gambling, right? So this is really JMO's first full year to be a pro and really integrate himself into the offense. And from all the highlights that I've seen coming out of Allen Park, not only does JMO physically look bigger, like it looks like he spent some time in the weight room. My guy has put on some mass, especially in his legs, and his physicality on the field is noticeably better without losing any speed, right? Can JMO be that guy that adds that Deshaun Jackson element where you can just take the top off the defense, let Amon-Ra and Laporta just work their shit underneath, right? Let them do their thing, right? Because the Yak Master, Amon-Ra, dude, a whole nother element that JMO doesn't necessarily do. It So if JMO emerges, right? If JMO emerges, I'm not so worried about that fourth spot running back. But if JMO isn't going to be what we all want him to be, where he should be heading into this year, you're probably going to need a more viable person to play that fourth running back spot in the event. We've seen it early on last year where David Montgomery missed a couple games and then Jahmyr Gibbs missed a couple games. And you need somebody who is viable, who can play 4 or 5 games as your lead back. And I use air quotes around lead back because even though Detroit has, you have your starting running back, probably David Montgomery, it's really a 1-1A type situation where we deploy a 2-back system. And I wouldn't say running back by committee because both guys are totally viable for going over 1,000 yards on the ground each in the same year on the same team, right? So it's not an RBC. It's just the way that we engineer our offense. But again, JMO ends up being what we want him to be. Then maybe, we don't necessarily need to rely on the physicality of the running back position. We can utilize those guys more in the receiving game, maybe taper off a couple of touches for them throughout the season so that their durability, obviously poised to make a Super Bowl run, we have them for that long run. Because the one thing nobody's really talking about, teams like Kansas City, and I hate to compare them to Kansas City, but Kansas City is consistently making these long pushes in the playoffs. I mean, they've been in 3 of the 4 last Super Bowls, some ish like that. So they're constantly making these long pushes. So they are more tailored for this long run and short turnaround time in the offseason to recover and be ready for the grueling onslaught of the upcoming season. The Lions, I mean, come on, guys. We know the reality of it, right? The Lions, not so much. First playoff appearance in umpteen decades, right? Let alone a push to the NFC title game. So are we going to be physically and mentally capable of that short turnaround time that we aren't traditionally used to? And will we be able to replicate the energy that we had last season? Reports, like Aiden Hutchinson saying things like, this is the best the defense has ever looked in camp. That is a good sign for us, right? You like to think that with the acquisitions we made on defense, we'll get a little bit more of a pass rush. Our secondary is looking fire. We'll talk about that in a little bit when we get to the defensive things to watch. The next thing on offense, we only got one more thing to talk about here, and that is who's going to end up emerging as that X wide receiver, right? Now, the X wide receiver, I'm not saying he is your number 3 wide receiver because we're probably going to see of the 3 wide receivers, Amon-Ra, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Khalif Raymond get the majority of the routes ran throughout the entire season. But when we go with a 3 personnel, why am I excluding the 3 wide receiver personnel, not counting Khalif Raymond? Because he's more of a slot wide receiver, more of a gadget type player, not your big play wide receiver, a traditional wide receiver, if you were. The Josh Reynolds role, right? The J. Ray role. Who will be this year's Josh Reynolds? Now, there are 3 guys that I've got it really narrowed down to. 2 of them were on the team last year, and one of them is this is his first stint in Detroit, right? But obviously, the leading contender should be Donovan Peoples-Jones, right? It should be, by all metrics, Donovan Peoples-Jones should be our out-and-out front runner for the X wide receiver spot, that number 3 guy behind Amon-Ra St. Brown and JMO, right? But he's not, right? I mean, I know we didn't give up a lot for him, and we didn't sign him to a huge, massive extension, but you would think that with his veteran ability, the time he spent in the league, and his ability to be that guy when push comes to shove, you would think he'd be leading the group. But my humble opinion, now I don't know what I'm talking about really, I'm just some guy, I think that Darius Fontaine is actually a little bit better than Donovan Peoples-Jones right now at this point in the preseason. And I love what I see out of this guy, right? He's got some serious ups. He's got the physicality that we are kind of lacking in the wide receiver room. We have it in the tight end room with Laporta and Brock Wright. And, oh gosh, who's that cat? Oh, Shane Zylstra, right? Shane Zylstra is probably going to be our number 3 tight end. Maybe you carry forward and you keep a James Mitchell, but I'm not too high on James Mitchell. So what we're looking for is a big body wide receiver because JMO's a little bit smaller. Amon-Ra's a little bit smaller. Leaf is like a micro version of Amon-Ra St. Brown. So what we're looking for is a big body guy that Jared Goff can maybe just kind of, I don't want to say throw it up like Stafford did, but kind of give it a little bit more air, maybe have him go up and get those contested catches, has a little bit more of a vertical in his legs, you know what I'm saying? So Darius Fontaine, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and last year, what was he, our 6th or 7th round pick? Is that number 12 and 88? Fontaine, yeah, dude, Darius Fontaine. That's what's up, Detroit fan, man. I appreciate that. Wide receiver is I like what I see out of Fontaine, man. This guy has been like going bananas at training camp. And like I say, he's got the athleticism that I really, really like. And I've seen a couple interviews with him. The guy's like real humble. So he's like really, really that Motor City Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes type player, dude. So I expect to see significant plays made. I want to see good crisp routes out of the guy. Maybe no drops, right? Maybe get a little hot. Maybe get a little hot. Maybe start off a little higher than some of the other guys. Maybe really give yourself that separation. You know what I'm saying? Really kind of I'd like to see some separation in these position battles, right? So other than that, offensively, we talked about Hendon Hooker. We talked about the running backs, the interior offensive line briefly. Colby Sorsdal. I really want to see what Colby Sorsdal does in this transition period, because I don't know if you've seen the pictures out of him. The dude looks like he ate a whole nother human being. And I don't mean he's fat. I mean, he did that Aleem McNeil thing where he just like lived in the gym and just got, I mean, he is the incredible bulk. The dude put on some serious mass, and I really like, oh, my phone's kind of lagging. What's going on here? Hang on a second, y'all. Something's going on. All right, there we go. Let's hope that's better. I don't know. So offensively, interior offensive line, the running back room position battles for that fourth running back spot. Who's going to end up pulling ahead for the X wide receiver? Now, I realize that week 1 of the preseason is not the barometer or the metric that we're really going to end up using to measure these guys out when it comes to be that big cut day to finalize your roster down to 53. But it can be a huge indicator as to where we need to make improvements. Are these the guys in-house that we actually need? Because, yeah, joint practices and OTAs are one thing, but full-on game speed, even though it's preseason, it's still game speed. And a lot of these guys that we're going to see on the field have little to no NFL reps, right? Like few to no NFL reps. The speed of the game is going to be entirely different for them, so it's a huge transition period. And I'm looking to see some development out of some guys. Mostly, I'm gonna be honest. Offensively, I'm just here to watch Hendon Hooker all night long. Like I'm just here. I want to see Hendon Hooker playing decently well into the third quarter. I want to see Hendon Hooker go out there and just like really make an argument that he is that guy. Like I'd really like to see it. Do I think Hendon Hooker is the future of the franchise? I don't think he's the future of the franchise. Don't misunderstand me there. I think he's a little too old to be the future of the franchise right now. But you never know. I mean, something could happen to Goff, and all of a sudden, Hendon Hooker's thrust into a position that we don't want to see him in, and he's absolutely dynamic. But who knows, man? Do we know if Hook is starting? I don't know if Hook is starting. I would like to. Oh man, that's a good point. Is Hook going to be starting? Because I was going to say I would like to assume that Hooker's starting. But again, my argument of players having, NFL reps, Sudfeld has been around the league a little bit. He already knows what he's getting into. Maybe you roll Sudfeld out for those first 10 scripted plays so you can kind of see what you're getting into, and then Hook comes in and takes over. That's a very good question, man. I would look it up right now, but I'm afraid that I'd lose the stream, and I'm having a hard enough time keeping the signal going right now, my dude. But I don't know. That's a very good question. That is a very, very good question. That's a very good question. We'll see. We'll see in about what time? Hang on one second. What time is it? All right. Yeah, we'll see in about. We'll see. Oh shit. We'll see in about 55 minutes, won't we? We'll see in a little under an hour, and we'll have kickoff. So that's going to be it for the offensive things that I'm looking to talk about. Defensively, I only got 3 defensive things that I want to look at during this game. Number 1, Levi Onwuzurike has been just having a camp, fellas. He lost a ton of poundage, and he put on some muscle. Now, Levi Onwuzurike has been dealing with a back injury since we drafted him. I think in the second or third round, back a couple. Wasn't him and Aleem drafted in the same class? Yeah, him and Aleem were drafted in the same class, if I'm not mistaken. Unfortunately, Brad Holmes has this thing about drafting hyper-talented players, right? But they're hurt. Hendon Hooker, right? JMO, and then Levi Onwuzurike, right? But second round before Aleem, fine. Spinal fusion surgery. That's what I thought it was some wicked back thing, dude. Yeah, and we did take him before Aleem. That's right, dude. Look at you, Detroit fan, man. My guy. Yes, dude. You are 100% right now that I think about it. My guy. That is what's up. Yes, you are correct. And that spinal fusion surgery. I'm gonna be honest, boys. If I had spinal fusion surgery, there is a significant chance that I'm like, yeah, I don't play football anymore. My back has been fused together, right? Like that's wild. That's wild to think, right? But here he is, grinding it out, giving it another chance, and he's had a monster camp. Dan Campbell's real high on him, man. He feels good from all reports, talking about his speed and power feel as one unit, that he's got it all put together, both upstairs and the body. Now, can he be healthy? I'd love to say he can be healthy. Is he going to be a starter? Probably not. But can he be a contributing member of that defensive rotation? Man, talk about just a prime spot to develop. Kaminsky's gone for the whole year, tore out his MCL. We need that big body. I come think of Kaminsky and Levi Onwuzurike as like a hybrid interior edge defensive lineman player, right? Hyper athletic, but they have a little bit more mass than you're looking for on your traditional defensive end, right? So can Levi Onwuzurike come out, ball out, stay healthy, and how much contributions can we look forward to him making, knowing that Aleem and DJ Reed are going to be your starters in the interior defensive line? Where do you see him falling into rotation with guys like, a Makai Wingu? You know what I'm saying? How does he produce in this preseason? Does he see a lot of reps or anything like that? So kind of the interior defensive tackle room, but mostly Levi Onwuzurike is who I'm looking to kind of like produce for us, how we're doing. That's this kind of the defensive tackle that I'm really looking to watch tonight. In the secondary, big news broke last week. Emmanuel Moseley. Bro, talk about some serious shit luck, fellas. Tore his knee up the year before coming to Detroit, rehabbed it, came in, played 4 downs, 4 snaps, and blew out his other knee, right? Now, Emmanuel Moseley's hyper talented. Pour one out for Moseley. Shit, pour 2 out for Moseley, bro. Seriously, brother. Seriously, dude. My guy has the worst luck. I feel terrible for this dude. You know what I mean? Because then this year he's having a monster camp. Brad Holmes gave him a little 1-year contract extension because he knew the ability that the guy had, right? Let me hit this water real quick, fellas. Knew the ability that he had. Said, all right, we'll get you healthy. You come back next year and you show us what you got, right? And he was balling out. He was balling out, making a big push for that nickel spot, right? Tore his pec last week, boys. That fucking sucks. That fucking sucks, dude. That is some shitbox luck, right? The silver lining to this, though, is apparently Enos Rakestraw Jr. is that guy, and our defensive coaches were struggling to figure out ways to, kind of like Brian Branch last year, where it's like, hey, man, he is so good, he has to be on the field. We have got to figure out a way to get this cat on the field, right? Unfortunately, you hate to see it be this type of situation where a man gets injured and you're forced into playing time, a la Brian Branch and CJ GJ last year. But when the stars kind of align, boys, the stars kind of align. So, does Enos Rakestraw get a lot of run? Do we see what everyone's been seeing in training camp out of Enos Rakestraw? I think so. I'm really looking to see, not a lot of playing time out of the guy, but if we can get a good, a good couple series out of Enos Rakestraw, maybe even a full quarter out of Enos Rakestraw Jr., just to see where he's at in his development. Because all the hype is around Terry and Arnold, and all the highlights coming out of camp are around Terry and Arnold. Enos Rakestraw did have the first INT in training camp, though. All right, let's not forget that. And he would have the second one, but he dropped it. So Enos Rakestraw, where he's at, how's our DBs looking? Or not so much the safeties, because we know where the safeties are going to kind of be at, but how are the young corners looking? How are they developing? And what can we expect out of them based on the few flashes that we might see tonight? Where will they end up being in the defensive back rotation room? So guys with last name ending in Y have had it so far. Badgley, Kaminsky. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Maybe watch out. So Detroit fan, man. So guys with the last name ending in Y have had it tough so far. Badgley, Kaminsky, Mosley, all gone. I forgot to mention Michael Badgley. I was going to talk about him in a little bit. But Michael Badgley, yeah, tore his hamstring in warm-ups like 2 weeks ago, dude. Like, I mean, I wasn't so high on Badgley to begin with, but again, man, you never want to see a cat get hurt, right? Like, you never want to see a man lose his livelihood because of some fluke fucking injury. That's why I hate the Meadowlands so much, dude. I can't stand that turf that they have down there at the Giants-Jets Stadium, dude. Like, seriously, that stadium is ending guys' careers. You know what I'm saying? And that's just bunk, dude. That's just bullshit to me. I don't really agree with it. But yeah, Kaminsky's season-ending injury, Badgley season-ending injury, Mosley season-ending injury. Man, yeah, and if Khalil Dorsey can stay healthy, is he going to be our kick returner, you think? And isn't Khalil Dorsey kind of hyped up as a kick return man? And how are we going to do the kick returns with this year's new NFL rules? Are we going to have 2 kick returners? Does that open the door for Dorsey to maybe be a kick returner, or is it going to be a Maurice Alexander, Khalif Raymond type deal? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know about that. So outside of the secondary defensively, one more spot I want to look at, and I'm just trying to see what kind of depth we have at the rush edge spot. As we just talked about, John Kaminsky's out. Not that he was necessarily contributing sack man last year. He was better 2 years ago than he was last year. We brought in Marcus Davenport to help kind of take some of the pressure off of Aiden Hutchinson, take some of the tension away from him along with DJ Reader. But obviously these guys can't play all game long. You got to rotate these guys in. And you got to start developing schemes for the strengths of your defensive players. So how does Mateo Betts, right? Mateo, is it Mateo or Mateo? Either way, Mateo Betts, the guy that we got out of the CFL, who was, I think, the defensive player of the year in the CFL last year, he had many offers and he elected to come to Detroit. Is he that guy? Is he going to be a contributing member? Is he productive? And is he ready for this level of talent in the NFL? Because a lot of the highlights, the few highlights you can get of the guy playing in the CFL, I mean, he was like ragdolling these grown-ass men. But when you look at it, like the size and physical ability of the CFL versus the NFL, vastly different. I do wonder, though, and this is purely just for question state, like I'm just wondering, what the competition level is between like the CFL and the UFL. You know what I'm saying? Like how comparable are those two leagues? Because whichever one is better, well, obviously, and the UFL is probably going to be in a little bit more of your feeder developmental program than the CFL. But can he translate into the NFL? Is he going to end up being one of those contributing members? I'm talking like a 4 to 7 sacks guy. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's like Hutch last year and he doesn't get a lot of sacks, but he adds a lot of pressure, a lot of QB hits. You know what I'm saying? So where is he at in his development and transition from the CFL to the NFL? Is he going to get a lot of run tonight? That is something I'd really like to see as Mateo Betts. So defensively, those are the only things that I'm really looking for today, right? I guess you could throw in maybe a Jack Campbell's development, but I don't know if we're going to see a lot of Jack Campbell on the field because he's supposed to be that dude. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to be that dude. And I like Jack Campbell. Action Jack Campbell is my guy, dude. So the last spot is going to be special teams. And obviously we're not going to talk about the punting room because Jack Fox is the best punter in the NFL. And we briefly talked about Michael Badgley blowing out his hamstring a couple weeks ago in warm-ups. And I've hinted at how I'm a huge UFL fan, right? Like I watched like all the games. I watched all the UFL games. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I hope the league develops. I hope it expands to like 12 teams. I hope it gets more money pumped into it, and I hope it becomes an actual spring ball thing because it was entertaining to watch, dude. When you're in that period of time between the draft and the regular season of the NFL, ooh, hey, boys, it fills that void so nicely, right? And I'm just kind of like really hyped for Jake Bates, who played in the UFL, Michigan Panthers, the Ballad of Jake Bates. Been kind of stinking it up in camp a little bit, right? But let's just run through the story of Jake Bates real quick, right? High school soccer player, plays college soccer, tries out for the football team as a kicker, is only a kickoff specialist his entire college career, never attempts a field goal in game. Ends up in the UFL playing for the Michigan Panthers, right? In the UFL, you don't kick extra points. You go for 1, 2, or 3, and it moves back farther away from the goal line depending on the points you want to try, right? So there's no kicking extra points in the UFL. If you want to kick, it has to be a field goal, right? And the opening week of the UFL, No field goals were attempted by the Panthers the whole game, right? And it comes down to like a 66 or a 67-yard fucking field goal. And the Michigan Panthers are like, fuck it. Give the guy a chance, right? Like, what does he got? What does he have to lose, right? If you miss it, it's like, well, yeah, you tried a fucking 67-yard field goal. The guy's never kicked a field goal in game in his entire fucking life, right? He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Fuck it. What do you have to lose, right? So they toddle Jake Bates out there. And what does he do? Promptly nails that motherfucker, right? Just fucking goes out and drills it like he's Justin goddamn Tucker, but he didn't need the fucking crow hop because he's got a gigantic leg. The accuracy's not really there. That can maybe be coached up, but that power, whoo, that Jake Bates power. So I'm looking to see if the ballad of Jake Bates continues tonight. Is he going to end up being able to take the steps to be that guy that is our kicker for at least this year? And can he develop if he's given this season, if he's given this opportunity this season, and we keep him on as our kicker, and he doesn't screw up too badly? You know, because I was really high on Riley Patterson. Can he become the kicker for the future? Right? I'm not saying maybe a career like Jason Hansen, but you know, like another big leg kicker that we had for a while. Man, I just spit all over the camera. I'm sweating so bad in here, boys. Like a Matt Prater, right? Big leg, kind of a party boy, not necessarily the best accuracy, but reliable. Kept him around for a few years. Can Jake Bates become that? So those are the things we're going to look for tonight, guys. Offensively, we're going to look at Hendon Hooker and Nate Sudfeld. We're going to look at the running back 4 spot, who's going to end up getting the majority of the reps and who's productive with those reps. Also, how does Sione Vaki's game transition to the NFL? The wide receiver X spot, the number 3 wide receiver, who steps up and emerges as that guy? Is it going to be Donovan Peoples-Jones? Is it going to be my dude Darius Fontaine? The guy is just a monster. Maybe Antoine Green slides in a little bit and ends up taking some reps, showing some stuff. Who knows on that? Defensively, Levi Onwuzurike's development from coming back from spinal fusion surgery a couple years back. Can he be what we've seen in camp so far? Enos Rakestraw Jr., same thing. Is he going to be that guy that we've seen in camp so far, given now the opportunity of probably solidifying that nickel spot or maybe even taking a lot of reps away from the outside? I don't know. We'll see. I want to see what they do with him. I want to see how he fits into the defense. I'm really high on Enos Rakestraw Jr. I was content with us taking him in the first round because I didn't expect Terry and Arnold to be there, right? Mateo Betts, how does he transition from the CFL to the NFL? Is he going to be productive? Is he even going to be on the roster in 3 weeks? Is he that guy? We'll see. I'm hoping to see some good plays, maybe some flash in the pans out of the dude. You know, I mean, he was a Defensive Player of the Year from the CFL. You're not just a scrub. I mean, you're clearly pretty talented. You know what I'm saying? And then, does the ballad of Jake Bates continue in the kicking room for the Detroit Lions? So those are the things we want to look at tonight during the Lions preseason week 1 against the New York Football Giants. Man, that was a quick 40 minutes, wasn't it, fellas? It doesn't feel like that. I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm going to be super, super honest. There are way more of you in here than I thought where it was going to be. I was expecting to just kind of talk to myself, and this is awesome. This is awesome, man. This is super awesome. I like this a lot. So make sure to smash like, comment, subscribe if you're not already, and, you know, comment or something. Let me know. Find me on Twitter at The Hat and Beard Show. You can find me on Instagram at The Hat and Beard Show. Shoot me a direct message on either of those sites. I like engaging with you guys, getting some feedback, because if this is something you guys like to do, I kind of had fun doing this. It was nice being just kind of spur of the moment. I'm not in the studio. It's not all heavily edited. I know the lighting's shit, and there's probably wind in the back, but hey, what you gonna do? Also, shout out my right earbud. Notice I don't have a left earbud. Well, story time. Took my left earbud out to talk to one of my coworkers, and I put it in my shirt pocket. And then I got a trouble call to go work on a toilet. And for whatever reason, I bent at the waist instead of squatting. I normally squat. I normally always squat to work on things, and for whatever reason, I bent over, and dude, my earbud fell out of my shirt pocket directly into the shitter. And they're automatic toilets, so I moved a little bit, and it triggered the flush. Dude, I shoved both my hands in the toilet, and I could feel the hook of my earbud on my finger just get pulled right down the shitter, dude. So rest in peace, my left earbud. We're going to be rolling with the right one. Hopefully it's not as shitty. Thank you. I'll be here all night. So, Guys, appreciate you hanging out with me. That's going to do it for me. We will be back with some more content, some more long-form content. Comment down below what you guys would like to see if you enjoyed this. I really appreciate everybody hanging out. Dude, I hope we see a lot out of the Lions tonight, man. Those new uniforms, the new helmets, it's going to be fresh. So stay out of trouble. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Keep your stick on the ice. If she doesn't find you handsome, at least she'll find you handy. That's going to be it for me. I've been Hat and Beard. You've been an attentive audience. Frig off.